2026 to order. Welcome each and every one of you here. Notation of councillors in attendance?
Yes.
Thank you. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented this evening? So moved by Councillor Annis, seconded by Councillor Forbes. All those in favour?
Aye.
Contrary minded, if any, motion carried. Do we have any declaration of conflicts of interest with tonight's agenda from anyone? Hearing none, we're good. We have no delegates this evening. Approval of previous meeting minutes. Could I have a motion for that? Moved by Deputy Mayor Brownlow. Have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Brewer. Any errors or omissions in the minutes? I noticed one. I don't know if there's any more or not, and that's just the bottom of the second page of minutes. It says Mayor Dustin Brownlow. We'll add that in front of that. That's the only thing I see, just a clerical error. So.
Always good to have goals in mind.
Anyone else have any errors or omissions? So with that correction, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, if any, motion carried. Business arising from the previous meeting minutes. Does anyone have anything? All good?
Yep.
Okay. Correspondence, we have none this evening. Committee reports. Committee of the whole meeting from January 27th, 2026. Could I have a motion to accept those minutes? Moved by Deputy Mayor Brownlow. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Annis. Again, any errors or omissions that you see in those minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, if any? Motion carried. Our treasury report will be February the 24th, and that will be for the month of January. We'll move on to our Chief Administrative Officer's report.
Thank you. The arena is officially one of the local government's assets. The mayor has suggested a local media moment with the CYRC committee to celebrate the transfer. The 2025 audit, the representative for Shannon and Buffett was in our office Thursday, February 5th. To facilitate the 2025 audit, I requested that they review the draft statement the council when it is prepared. Keswick Facilities Improvement Team, a meeting was held with their committee on Monday, February 2nd at 7 p.m. at the Calian Complex. I've added their email correspondence to the back of my report. They would like to continue the conversation on what the future could be for the Calian Complex and recreational development. 995-104 demolition. The bids for the tender for the demolition of 995-104 were open today at 12 p.m. at the Capital Region Service Commission. The quotes were as follows: Zandberg Contracting, $17,020. Mike Shaw Excavating, $25,875. Brewdogs, $34,500. More Boys Contracting, $52,428.50. I recommend the council that the tender be awarded to Zandberg Contracting for $17,020, HST included. The work is to be completed by June 26th. Thank you.
Thank you. You've heard the CAO report. Can I have a motion to approve it? Moved by Councillor Annis, second by Councillor Downing. Any questions on the CAO report?
Just one question. When you say by June 2026, does that mean it has to be done by the end of May? Or by the end of June?
Well, I think it's early June. So.
Early June?
Yeah.
Any other questions? None? All those in favor? Contrary minded, if any? Motion carried. So the mayor's report, thought I had it all written out, but then I realized I omitted a little bit, so anyway. Looking through my report, that you have most of it in front of you. As you were all aware, we had 2 open houses last week for public consultation on the new rural plan. For the most part, they went fairly well. We will have the last committee meeting next week to redraft before the plan goes to council. Councillor Forbes, Councillor Forbes, Councillor Annis, Councillor Brewer, Deputy Mayor Brownlow, CAO Walker, and myself met with the KFIT board. Councillor Abers was an observer. Discussions from both sides were trying to determine a path forward concerning their facility. There were different structures to their thoughts and council's thoughts and concerns. The board is going to report back to council, which I believe they have reported to our CAO, and they have, because on the back of his report. Last Thursday, our CAO and myself met with the new RCMP sergeant for our area, along with Corporal Cook. Sergeant Stefan Lemaire is a native New Brunswicker. He is also much aware of the policing issues facing our area, theft, drugs, and traffic, to name a few. At the Capital Region Service Commission on February 3rd, COO Brett McKay presented and discussed the organic waste proposal that the province is rolling out. The details are in your council package for this evening. There is another example of the province downloading to municipalities that are providing proper funding to implement these decisions. And I apologize, but I've got a couple other little things here. All 13 mayors and chair of the Capital Region met at the legislature privately with Natural Resources Energy Minister Heron and his Deputy Minister Kay Libby and the ADM Neil Jacobs for discussions over the Sisson Mine project. And this was passed out to us if anyone would like to copy it. It's about the Sisson Mine project and what needs to take place. And to start with, there's a 10-kilometer kink has to be put in a 345,000 volt line that runs directly over the mine at this point in time. So NB Power has to put the kink in the line there. A letter of response was sent to Mayor Tim Fox of Nakawik from his letter sent to me in January 20th, 2026 of 5 batteries. Expansion for Central New York. So that's my report. Make a motion to approve my report. The seconder. Second by Councilor Downing. Any questions on my report? Concerns, questions, comments? Yes, Councilor Forbes.
Are they looking for input on the Sisson Mine from us, or are they just talking?
No, it's pretty much out of our hands. It's in rural district. It sits between rural community of Nashwauk and the rural community of Central York in rural district, and they have to go through all their environmental whatnot. Nashwauk they have a fair issue with it, and he related that to Minister Heron, because if anything happens on the it's close to the Nashwauk River, and if a tailing pond breaks or something goes sideways, then it's going right through their community. A little unlike the rest of us, but of course Fredericton, if that happens, Fredericton will have to run, but also in Oromocto and on down the chain. So we would skate it probably a little better like Nakawik would in Harvey, but it's still, if anything happens, wouldn't be a good situation anywhere. So. But hopefully they'll overcome all that. As Minister Heron stated, he said this is going to be the Cinderella mining. So he said if we do this one wrong, it's going to make it tough for other mines. And apparently there's a copper mine somewhere that's in the works. And they're talking about reopening a couple other old mines. And he said we have to do this one right. So hopefully that goes into the economic realms or the environmental realms also. Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary, if any, motion carried. New business. And the first thing on new business, that's in the package, like I stated, from COO Brett McCray on the organics. Did you want to go over any of that, Duncan, or just? I'm guessing you've all read it. Do you have any questions on it? I may be able to answer a few, not like what Brett could, but I might be able to guide you through some of it. The basic plan is the province wants the organics taken out of the landfill, because the organics fill up the landfills faster and whatnot, and not all the landfills have the options that this one here in the Capital Service Region has, because they collect the gas through tubing and piping, and they burn the gas and collect pretty near $1 million worth of power a year they put back on the grid. And most of the other service commissions don't have that, and if they do, it's very limited. So what Brett is arguing for, and what we probably should send a letter to the minister, with our concerns, and this is gonna add a lot of cost, and you can see the costs in here, I won't break them down, they're printed there for you, but the extra costs are the extramental to this capital, region. And what it would do, when you take the organics out of the landfill, then you have less gas and you can produce less electricity. So in doing that, you spend a bunch of money, so you can put your revenue less, which makes no sense whatsoever for the system that's in this capital region landfill. So that's kind of the basis of it, and I say that's, most of it's in here, and if there's technical questions, I'm sure Brett could answer them. He has an email and phone number at the Service Commission. But I think we really need to send a letter to the minister and on behalf of council here and state, you know, that this is not feasible for what we already have, and try to support our capital service commission. That's basically what he's asking all the municipalities to do, so, which I agree with, and I think it's a good step. I have a lot of respect for that. He increased the height of the landfill down there through the environment department. It's gonna save us a substantial lot of money for the next 20 years. And he had to go through a lot of hoops to do that. They hadn't done it anywhere else, and he had to have all the proper membranes, and I don't know what all, that's his ball of wax, but anyway, he got that all done so he could have a cheaper landfill at least for the next 20 years before it has to be moved to another site, so. And I think this is probably, I think he's right on the money on this one in my opinion, but. So, saying all that, is there any questions on that?
So are you looking for a motion for a letter to be written?
Do we need a motion to write a letter? Okay. Yeah, we're looking for a motion.
Okay, I'll make that motion that we write a letter of support for what Brett McCray outlines in his letter dated February 6, 2026.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Second by Councilor Downey. Any questions on the motion?
Are they asking for responses, or are they just giving information?
He wants us to write a letter,
He
that's the
does?
message I'm bringing back
Okay.
from the
No, I
Service
just
Commission.
didn't see that anywhere.
He'd like for all municipalities in the capital region, if they see fit and their councils approve, to send a message to the minister with these concerns that we're going backwards instead of ahead, so. Any other question? All those in favor? Contrary minded, if any, motion carried.
I'm against it, I'm nay.
Okay. We have a nay?
Yes.
Yes.
I need a motion
Yeah.
for the award of the tender.
Oh, I was gonna do that.
Okay.
Okay.
So I would make a motion that we tender the demolition of, where are the address?
Just hang on, I gotta find it here.
Here we are. I make a motion that we tender the demolition of 995 Route 104 to J.M. Bird Contracting. At a price cited in here, which is $17,020.
Okay, for the motion,
HST included.
do a seconder? Second by Deputy Mayor Brownlow. Any questions on the tender? Hearing none, all those in favor? Contrary minded, if any? Motion carried. Any further new business? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
So there, I don't know if everyone is aware or not, but there's been some conversation within the Haynesville community regarding the decision that council has made to change the fire service delivery model for that area. Part of the discussion and the main concern that I'm hearing is the distance from each station to reach the community, with Noble Fire Station being the closest. I understand distance of the station is not the only factor that factors into an appropriate response, and that mutual aid agreements predating the formation of our new rural communities currently exist. But the distance factor alone is causing a lot of concern within the community. I believe there's an opportunity here to work with our neighbors at Aquif Noble to discuss the potential of a new, updated, enhanced mutual aid agreement between the two municipalities. Such agreement would ensure mutual aid is requested and responded to as we move forward with the transition of services for the Haynesville area. I believe if this can be achieved, it would put a lot of the concern to rest, and it would also benefit both rural communities going forward.
Okay. Just my comment on that, I haven't had a meeting, I think you and I talked about having a meeting with Mayor Fox and CEO Catherine Clark, along with Doug and myself. We haven't had that yet, we're still working on it. And in the letter that Mayor Fox sent January 20th, it's all about distance in the letter, which when I responded through the help of some others here when it was put together, that distance, as you said, is only one factor. It's time. And I think time from Keswick Valley to the Crab Mountain Road is somewhere around 4 to 5 minutes, according from what I can understand from the fire department, and depending on who's driving the truck at the time. 4 to 5 minutes is very conservative, from what I was told, and it could be less than that, but that's the minute distance, and then what they arrive with is another thing. And I think that's what we gotta explain to the community and to the mayor and CEO of Millville. Along with explaining that with the resources that Keswick Valley has, of the time and the manpower, womanpower, and the equipment, that I think there's a lot that we could offer Millville over the next few years in helping them maybe bolster their fire department and bring it further down the road, so they have, choose my words here, so they have a fire department maybe that functions better in the future than what it does today. I hope those words are chosen carefully enough, but that's the goal of the meeting when we get to meeting, so. And also we're waiting for the community meeting, which is not going easily because certain venues are closed and not open for winter, so, but we'll try to get them as soon as possible. And I think that would ease a lot of concerns. I could be wrong, maybe I'm naive, but I think it would alleviate to some degree, maybe not all. But anyone else have comments on Deputy Mayor Brown's note?
I do. If we were in a position where there was no agreement whatsoever, and there was an incident, let's say at the ski hill, we would quickly, no doubt, call for mutual aid from Millville. It could very well be that their truck may get there before us, may not, but in any case, the response would not look really any different than it does if it would have happened tonight. So the absence or presence of a formal agreement similar to what we've had is kind of a moot point when it comes to response, other than if we do continue with the plan to retake that area as has been planned and decided.
Council has decided.
Right, we would be the ones to determine what we would need for resources to mitigate the emergency rather than waiting here. Are we gonna get called or not? So the response itself would not look much different, other than technically we would have incident command and call in the resources we need.
But it must take more than 5 minutes to go from Birch Corner to the Crab.
Extra. I don't know if I worded that properly, but I made extra when I said it.
Okay.
Is that how or did I say just 5 minutes?
It could have been misinterpreted, but it is extra.
Yes, that's what I meant when I stated that was extra.
So in the absence of an agreement, they may still get there first anyway, through us calling them as mutual aid. So that wouldn't look any different than it does now.
And I realize that they're a volunteer fire department, just like you, it takes time to get there and all that, so.
So just so that I'm clear with everyone here, I'm not saying to, reverse council's decision, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I would like for the mayor and the CAO of both communities to sit down and have a discussion of what a new, mutual aid agreement can look like for both municipalities. Yes, it would include the Haynesville portion that's in question with the transition, but it can include other portions within both municipalities for how we can help each other going forward as neighbors. And like I mentioned, the mutual aid agreements that are in place right now predate our municipalities. The concern in the community is that would they be upheld? So I think being proactive and actually sitting down and having a meeting and working something out between both communities, obviously with the involvement of, you know, the mayor and CAO meeting would be the first of probably many. I mean, it's gonna have to go back and forth between both councils, it'll have to go to the fire services of each community. But I think working together to come up with a new mutual aid agreement would be beneficial.
I don't know how that works though, Jared, because there's not mutual
I was
aid
gonna
through
use-
capital district.
I was gonna give some background on that,
Just,
so.
just hang on a sec. I assure you that the meetings will happen. I just can't give you a date at this.
My understanding is council has to support that to happen though, the meeting.
To support the
That's
meeting.
why I wanted to talk about it all
Okay.
here.
So before we meet, we need council, do we need a motion on that?
Well, you have to have the majority support for this
Okay.
meeting.
Let's have a motion on it then, that the mayor, CAO, talk to the mayor, CAO, and Nakawik, and that'll.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that the mayor and CAO of Central York request that the mayor and CAO of Nacook Noble Rural Community meet to discuss fire services between both municipalities, with the potential of a new mutual aid agreement.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll send you.
Seconded by Councilor Edwards. Any question?
There's a clarification that might need to be made just for wording. So, currently the way that the mutual aid agreements work in Capital District, the Capital District Firefighter Association, is the fire chiefs of all of Capital District, which is Ormoc, Doe, Cambridge Narrows, Gagetown, all the way towards Nacook, including ourselves, get together and sign these mutual aid agreements with very specific layout of what we can provide each other's communities in the event of the call. So that stuff, Deputy Mayor Brownlow is correct, it is out of date, it predates our community. I think they're working on it, from my understanding from Chief Farrell, who's the president of the association, to update it because there's been some name changes. Of course, they're waiting for local governance reform to settle to determine what the department names are and all that stuff. So that is coming as far as the standard mutual aid. What I think the discussion needs to be about with this one is mutual aid for sure, but more of a policy that Central York would have under their fire services. Not necessarily a bylaw, but a policy at the department level on radio call. So if there was an incident in those affected addresses that are physically closer to the Millville station, that they could be called first, and we would control that as a policy through Central York. This is something we could offer them, is kind of what I'm saying here. Not necessarily an ask for, an agreement being signed, but saying this is something we can do for you without any, if they would like to pursue that, if they'd like that option, that we could have a policy drafted internally, as long as fire chief, the valley agreed to that. That would be part of our radio communications, and then going forward, this is what we would do. That would be the olive branch, I would say here, is that we ask, that offer them a version of enhanced mutual aid, but it is, just to make sure the terminology is correct, the mutual agreement for Capital District is at the department level and a little bit more specific for response, whereas this would be enhanced, but on our side and within our control, because it's a Central York policy, which is also a benefit of us having first due in that coverage area. We can say, this is what we would like to do.
Okay, so from what I understand, the mutual agreement is kind of up to the fire departments.
No, it's up to capital district.
The association.
Okay, the Capital District Association, and then if we have a closer agreement with Nakawik Millville for the affected area, then that would come from here. So
That's what I'm suggesting.
Is that in your motion, or do you wanna amend it?
Wendy, can you read it back? Do you have it?
I cannot.
Oh, cause it's voice recorded.
Okay, so I'll just, for the sake of amendment then. So I would like to amend my motion for the mayor and CAO of Central York Rural Community to request a meeting with the mayor and CAO of the Naquick Millville Rural Community to discuss fire services and the potential of a new enhanced mutual aid agreement between both municipalities. Does that make sense?
I think so. Okay. You agree to that? You seconded the motion? Okay.
We did.
Any more discussion on the motion with the amendment?
As long as we're all clear, it's not the standard mutual aid agreement that's signed by the fire departments, because that needs to be done by Capital District.
Right. But we're gonna have an understanding as Central York and Nakiwick Millville that we have a working agreement in the affected area outside of the mutual aid.
I just wanna make sure no one misunderstands and thinks that's the mutual aid agreement. It may be a working agreement between two fire departments, but it's not the mutual aid agreement
Okay.
as such.
So we're gonna talk about a working agreement. The mutual aid agreement is done by the capital district.
In some ways concerned with that mutual aid agreement, because instead of Bates as the North York Fire Department, Keswick Valley and Millville Stations.
That's a problem.
So that's a problem. It's just it's a wording problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Contrary minded, if any. Motion carried. Any other new business? Yes.
Just want to update council on Voyant Alert. Both Ken and I received training on that. And I believe there's somewhere around 500 residents now that have active accounts with that. So we are prepared to send out notices or alerts as we need to do that. The other couple of things that I had was, at our last committee of the whole meeting, we talked about a process for requesting streetlights, and coincidentally, I just had a request come to me this past week for a streetlight at the corner of 104 and Lower Stone Ridge Road.
I did.
So, what's the process to determine how we're gonna deal with those requests? Because I know we talked about it.
Deputy Mayor Brownlow brought it up last meeting that we need to set forth the credentials.
But that was in council, or in committee, right?
Yes.
So we haven't talked about it at this table.
No. So we probably should have a motion, and the thought from the committee was to have, the streetlights would be positioned on the numbered highways, intersections on the numbered highways. If it's not, if it was just a side road, another side road, then it probably doesn't fit the credentials of what we're trying to do here. So if it's a numbered 615, 616, 617, 104, 105, 620, I don't know if I'm leaving any out, but that's the ballpark of numbered highways. And that's what we talked about in committee to predominantly stick with those, so.
But there's kids that get on the school bus there, that's one of the main concerns.
Well, what you're mentioning would fall into that criteria.
Yeah, 'cause it's
So
one-
now-
Right, but I'm just asking process, so how are we gonna deal with these requests? We talked about a forum, we talked.
Well, first of all, are we comfortable to make the motion to these numbered highways? Not saying that we're doing them all right now, but are we,
I thought we were bringing forward the policy.
I thought this is the policy.
You have to draft the policy.
Okay.
So,
Make a motion to draft the policy. Bring it forward
Okay.
to council.
I make a motion then that we draft a policy regarding the consideration and placement of new streetlights at strategic locations on numbered highways.
Okay, got a seconder. Second by Deputy Mayor Brown. Sorry, motion was brought by Councilor Annis, second by Deputy Mayor Brown. Any questions on that motion? All those in favor? Contrary minded, if any, motion carried.
So the best thing to do with this request is say there's a process coming. Okay. The last item that I had, Mayor, has to do with, is anyone aware if there's been any more movement towards specific road access that would accommodate greater use of our trail system by ATVs?
You mean on the hot permits?
Yeah.
Or, not that I know, that was sent back to the ATV, I think, and we haven't heard from them. So it's,
The last thing I heard is that, Quad NB was responsible for, what's the word I'm looking for? Mapping the trail system through a GPS. And then after that, that's when you can start trying to get some, highway usage permits. So I thought this is, almost 2 years ago. So,
I was also asked in Stonebridge, where the lower Stonebridge Road is and the upper Stonebridge Road is, there's a road there that belongs to Parks Canada, and there's people wondering, that's from out of the city or whatever, if they're allowed to park their trailers there and stuff that has their ATVs on it right beside the trail. Because they're finding it hard to get a parking spot. Yes, the school allows them to park there, the upper church does, but it'd be nice to have a place to park right there.
I'm not exactly sure what you mean, other people might be.
Are you aware of what
I'm aware of where you mean, but it's private property there, they can't,
there's not enough land?
Okay, so that's where that lies, we're waiting for them to get back, and like I say, I always say, it's been a long while. I don't know why it's been that long, but it is. And you're all aware that through the Capital Service Mission, we're all trying to have trail connectivity, and that's being worked on by Jim Tech, the land connectivity and also the blue water connectivity, or sorry, blue trail, which is water. But anyway, I'll have a report to bring from Jim Tech, I think that's coming. I think we have a meeting on the 23rd or 4th of this month, and Jim Tech will be at the commission meeting, and I have information to bring that back to you hopefully, so. That's not much of an answer,
No,
but
that's all we have.